you can always say live.
Okay. All right, so I can minimize that and get back up.
It'll be showing on
I just gotta remember. Turn it off so that I'm not going around a lot, walking around when they're going live. God, no, we need to plug the camera.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, welcome to Rotary Club of LaGrange. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Father Tim. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is Yom Kippur, the Hebrew faith that started last night after sundown and ends today after sundown. Yom Kippur is one of the most important holidays of the Jewish year. The name Yom Kippur means Day of Atonement, and it is a day set aside to rally the soul or afflict the soul to atone for the sins of the past year. Yom Kippur atones only for sins between man and God, or humanity and God, not for the sins against another person. To atone for sins against another person, you must first seek reconciliation with that person, righting the wrongs you committed against them if possible. The holiday stems from the time when Moses in the Bible ascended Mount Sinai to pray for God for forgiveness for worshiping a golden calf after the Exodus from Egypt, as detailed in the Torah in the book of Exodus. On the 10th day of the month, Moses obtained forgiveness and came down from the mountain, forever marking the day as Yom Kippur, also known as the Day of Atonement. And for my Hebrew missal, I'm going to pray some actual verses from the Mahzor from Yom Kippur. So we'll pray. Our God and God of our fathers, may our prayers come before you, and do not turn away from our supplication, for we are not so important and obdurate as to declare before you, Lord our God and God of our fathers, that we are righteous and have not sinned. Indeed, we and our fathers have sinned. You know the mysteries of the universe and the hidden secrets of every living being. You search all our innermost thoughts and probe our mind and heart. Nothing is hidden from you, nothing is concealed from your sight. And so may it be your will, Lord our God and God of our fathers, to have mercy upon us and forgive us all our sins. Grant us atonement for our iniquities, and forgive and pardon us for all our transgressions. And from the Yechid Ratzon, may it be your divine will, Lord our God and God of our fathers, that this coming year shall be for us and for all your people, the house of Israel, wherever they are, a year of light, a year of blessing, a year of rejoicing, a year of happiness, a year of glory, a year of good assembly, a year of song, a year of delight, a year of goodness, a year of deliverance, a year of sustenance, a year of learning, a year of rest, a year of comfort, a year of joy, a year of exaltation, a year of redemption, a year of jubilation, a year that we may hold our heads high, a year of the ingathering of the exiles, a year of the acceptance of our prayers, a year of goodwill, and a year of peace. Finally, to pray with me that in light of the atonement will say this: for the sins we have committed in your sight by not being quick to forgive, and for the sin of holding resentments, we pray. For the sin we have committed in your sight by not going the second mile, and for the sin of impatience. For the sin which we had committed before you by wrong attitudes toward our neighbor. For the sin with which we had committed before you with proud looks and a haughty attitude. For the sin with which we had committed before you by false denials and lying and misrepresenting the truth. For all these we humbly ask that you forgive and pardon us. Bless this meal and the hands that have prepared it. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now we've got Landon will introduce our visiting guest.
First off, it's good to be back after a couple of weeks' absence, and I want to publicly thank Cousin Hennessy for filling in for me during these last couple of weeks. We have a couple of guests today. First off, Justin Bowen, Dr. Ken Gordon's guest, and Dr. Eric Marks, a guest at the club, and I think a future member. So if those two will stand, and we can welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll be speaking of sins of the need for atonement. Reminds me that Barbara's back from Maine. In honor of her, she brought us some moxie from Maine. So if you didn't get one of those at the, or two of those at the annual banquet, be sure to try one. It's a specialty of Maine, and the gelatin. So no cocaine, but it's supposed to be helpful for the stomach. Probably doesn't overwhelm the high fructose syrup, but Birthdays, Jason Weldon was Monday, and Karen Thompson is tomorrow. No club member anniversaries, but Steve Boker is 1 week, Suzanne Baxter 9 weeks, and Kelsey is 4 months on Sunday. And Sandy, Dante, and Jared, maybe pushing 9 months. So some celebration there. Oh, and Leon is coming up on 5 months. Wedding anniversaries, apparently nobody's allowed to get married in October. So. Please sign your cell phones, and I know we've got some announcements to do. Is Connie here? So she announced last week that we're doing the book stuffing party on October 11th and 12th at 4 at the United Way. So if you didn't put that on your calendars, be sure to get that on there. That's where we do the pre-K books. We have the books, we have the bags, we have to put them together in preparation for delivering them to the schools. Okay. So October 11th, that's what did I say? 11th and 12th at 4. Okay. John Harrell, not here, and Trey's here, but we're supposed to tell everybody to be ready for the last Saturday of February. Is that correct? Big thing happening, so put on your calendar, morning of the last Saturday in February, Rotary, okay? More to come later. You're gonna say something about the viewing party? Okay. And so let's go ahead and have some happy dollars. Come on up.
I have almost $1. One part was ripped off, but first of all, I want to say that I'm very, very happy to be back with you guys because you are my family. Secondly, we're going to have a viewing party for World Polio Day. Every year, World Polio Day comes along, and it's a kind of celebration, but it's also a way of getting the word out about how we're doing with eradicating polio. So it's this year, it falls on October 24th, which is a Monday. In the past years, we've always had a separate collection, and we put together money and we send it into Rotary International in honor of World Polio Day. We also are going to, in the past years, we had a few viewing parties, and this year we're going to have another viewing party because they put on a presentation that worldwide. So they had some of the top people in the field as part of that. So that's going to be on Monday, the 24th, and we'll give you more information about that, but we really need to see you come out. We'll ask how many, so that we have refreshments, and it's a very, very nice fellowship moment. Thank you so much.
I have 2 happy dollars. The first happy dollar is for our St. Vincent de Paul Society. We still have 1. Foursome left. I can hold it for our Rotary Club. Anyone who wants to play golf, we have a golf tournament. 100% of the proceeds will go for helping Troop County and also the range in our community to better our community. And so the proceeds go to that. The golf tournament is on Friday. It's at 1 o'clock at the fields. The second one is in honor of my mom for Yom Kippur and all the Hebrew faith, but also in the Catholic Church, yesterday was a feast day. It's St. Francis of Assisi. And I'll actually tell you one little anecdote with that. When I was a young priest, this is a true story, and a little humor. I had Assisi on my license plate, and I used to travel from Blairsville to Cleveland, at 2 churches like I do now. And I got pulled over by a Dahlonega person. He knows me, and I was at the Rotary Club over there. And so it's funny, he said, Father Jim, depending on your answer, I will determine whether I give you a ticket or not. Was I speeding? He said, no. I said, I want to know why you have as is I. What? As is I, that's your license plate. I said, no, that's a sissy. He went, you're telling me you're a sissy? That's the St. Francis. easy. Okay. I don't know you, but that's okay. So, patron saint of creation and also of animals. We had that blessing of animals yesterday. So the Methodist Church loves them. All Christians love St. Francis of Assisi, and even the Muslim people do as well. And so this dollar is for his 800th anniversary, and a little plus on 805, I guess, because he is, and his Franciscans are the caretakers of the Holy Land. All the Christian sites are respected by the Franciscans, by the Muslims, the Christians, and the Jews. And so St. Francis is an answer for ecumenism and to working together in better relations. We all have a little bit of St. Francis in us. We have a better world in which we live. Because he, like a Rotarian, has service before self. So I honor him today. Amen.
Okay, I have 2 events. You do have some information on your table about these if you want to see them, but this Sunday we have Stories in the Garden, Azalea Storytelling Festival along with Hills and Dales. This is the 11th year that we've done this. It's a free event. The gates open at 1 o'clock and storytelling begins at 2. Bring your blankets and folding chairs and just enjoy a lovely day under the pecan trees. Again, it is this Sunday. We will know by Friday if it's going to rain. We don't think so. If so, it'll be the following Sunday. And then starting on the 20th, we have Twisted Tales of Poe. So if you'd like something a little creepy and a little suspenseful, please come by. And the theater company will be presenting that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings and Sunday afternoon at 3. So again, more information on your table. Thank you.
And if you haven't been to the Black Box Theater, you really need to go. Absolutely. And in case you were wondering, yes, when Jaja sets up a YouTube Live, she gets the Not for Children designation. I know y'all are wondering. No, okay. Come up and introduce the program.
I'm honored to introduce the program today. It's another twofer day. So, Sandra Brownlee is the president of the board of the Community Action for Improvement, CAFI, serving 5 counties in West Georgia. You've probably driven by their facilities 100 times on the Lafayette Parkway. Sandra has also brought her CAFI Executive Director Jennifer Corsione to discuss the program. Sandra is the founder and CEO of Discovering Soldiers' Potential, a nonprofit organization dedicated to giving back and empowering our military heroes. Sandra is also the creator of Waypoint Veteran Service Centers. She founded the nonprofit for the service and the service centers on a simple principle: service to veterans, our military heroes, without ever charging a fee. Waypoint Veteran Service Centers were designated and designed to assist veterans and their families with transitional needs after leaving the military. The Veteran Service Centers assist with case management to address needs such as housing, recovering medical benefits, and finding a job. The centers also bring the veteran into a caring environment, often filled with other veterans, professionals who really can impact their lives. Another page here. Sandra Brownlee has a keen understanding of the military and life thereafter. She is a retired Master Sergeant. She served 27 years in the U.S. Army Medical Department before returning to her hometown here in LaGrange. In addition to training, teaching, and mentoring hundreds of officers, non-commissioned officers, soldiers, and civilians, she spearheaded numerous advances in leadership, management, and clinical practices. She's earned a bachelor's degree in personal management and a master's in healthcare administration. Over the course of her Army career, she earned many awards, including the National Defense Service Ribbon, the Army Presidential Unit Citation Ribbon, the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Ribbon, the Meritorious Service Ribbon, Army Overseas Service Ribbon, Joint Service Commendation Ribbon, Legion of Merit Ribbon, and so many more that I'm not going to read them all. So let's welcome Sandra Brown.
More than enough that you need to know, but thank you all for allowing me to come out today and speak on behalf of not one but two great organizations. And of course, I'm here representing Community Action Agency for Improvements here in our community. Community Action Agency supports over 5 counties in the surrounding area, including Trudy County. What's really awesome about it, I don't know if well, let me just preface by asking, how many of you are aware of CAP? And have you ever referred anyone there, been out there? Fantastic. So you know we do some really good stuff for the community. Some of the bigger things, and I'm going to allow my executive director really to get into the meat of it, but I just want to sort of flash out some of the good stuff, like the number of people that we've serviced with the community action days. Just here in True County alone, we've given the utility company here over $2 million just in this year in paying utility bills, just utility bills. So whether you own your home or rent your home, if your utility bill is past due and you can't afford to pay it, you come to CAFE, you go through the process, and not only do they pay your light bill for that month, but they pay it in advance. They sort of give you a leg up in order to allow you to sort of get back on your feet. But a lot of people aren't aware of these kind of things. There's lots of great programs, not just what we call LIHEAT, which is lighting and heating, a program for paying utilities, but there's also a new program called LIWAP that now pays your water bill. Then there's another program that has called Head Start that takes care of your kids. These are all free services, lots of funding coming to our communities based on this action agency. And we have a very small group of folks who are responsible for making sure that money gets where it's supposed to be. And oh, by the way, CAFE is a nonprofit agency, so none of this funding comes to us to go on vacation with. It's all sent back into the community. But if there's time left after Jennifer gets to bragging about what we really do, because I'm just a figurehead, I don't really know, then we'll talk a little bit about what DSBT and Waypoint Veteran Service Center does for the community. Because trust me, they both bring in great revenue to the community and help build the community better than what it is. And oh, by the way, glad to be back home. I've been gone for a very long time. Graduated from LaGrange High School, glad to be back here. But I'm going to go ahead and step aside and let Ms. Jennifer give you your spiel. And if there's time left, I'll talk a little bit about what I do as far as that is concerned. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm a little less formal, so I'm going to move around and I'm not using the mic. I refuse to use the mic, but I was a Rotarian in Meriwether for a few years, so I know the power of the dollars. So I'm going to put 10 in here so Ms. Brownlee and I can speak. And I was speaking with Jaja and listening to all the wonderful things the club does. So on behalf of another community servant, I want to say thank you, because all those programs are so important. And I know the importance of putting your hands into the community that you live in. So thank you. Just a little bit about Community Action. We are a nonprofit agency, but we are part of a unique network of agencies called the Community Action Network. And there's about 20 of those agencies in Georgia, and we are one of those 20. As you can see on the screen here, we occupy this western part of Georgia, those counties there, and we serve a few additional counties with our weatherization program. And I'll talk a little more about each of those programs in a moment. But it's important that you realize that even though we are what I would consider a small nonprofit, we are linked into a very powerful network of other poverty-fighting organizations just like ours. We're all independent agencies, but our designation as a community action agency lends us the ability to have certain type of federal funds. And the most well-known federal fund is the Community Services Block Grant. And that is federal money that comes down to the state. The state may only administer that funding to these type of agencies. So these 20 agencies in Georgia administer hundreds of millions of dollars on behalf of the federal government. And like Ms. Brownlee said, it is confusing because people say to me all the time, well, you guys have millions of dollars over at CAFE. And as our audits and our financial information will show you, We only spend about 5% of any dollar we get on administration. We have very low overhead, and we position all of our financial documentation, our audits, our tax returns, everything on GuideStar. So if you're interested in really knowing about a nonprofit and what their financial stability is like, I encourage you to go to guidestar.org and look them up. That's where we share all of our financial information. That level of transparency is very important to me. I've been at the agency for about 5 years, and that was one of the challenges that I bumped up against in the very beginning was making sure the community knew the changes that had taken place in the organization and how we were combating some of the bumps in the road that we hit. And that financial transparency was one of the first things that was important to me to do. We kind of do a few things that we're most well known for, although we do a lot of things that we're not well known for. We do a home weatherization program, and also within that is minor home repairs. I'm gonna give you some numbers in a moment of how much of that we've done in LaGrange. But we also have a homeless prevention and housing stability program. I'll talk about that. And then you heard Ms. Brownlee talk about our energy programs, low income home energy programs, and that's low energy water programs as well. Again, a lot of federal money coming out of President Biden's White House, and much of that money was given to the state for community action to administer, solely community action. So these are things that we're most well known for. We have neighborhood service centers in each of the counties that we serve. Here in LaGrange, it's over off of Lafayette Parkway. We're over off Lafayette Parkway. I'm going to speed through some of these, but home weatherization has been really, really important to us because the condition of the stock of houses in this county is poor. There's a lot of homes and places that people call homes that really should not be, people should not be living in them, with places without plumbing, places without electricity. Calumet Park Neighborhood Association has a large contingency of minorities without kitchens and plumbing. You may be thinking that's impossible. It isn't impossible. Right up the street from here, there's people without plumbing and housing. So we've sort of changed our lens a little bit, and we'll talk about that. We're really trying to move away from what people consider entitlement programs. Even though we consider some of those things emergency services and emergency needs, things like water bills and power bills. So we look at that as crisis services, and we are moving into a space of trying to build wealth and home ownership for people. Now, we may have served, I'm just going to throw some numbers out, 150 families with rental assistance. We've changed that. If we can serve 20 and ensure that they're either property owners or homeowners by the end of their program, that has a bigger impact, and we're recognizing that. And so we're moving away from some of those emergency services, even though we still offer them, and we're trying to put our resources behind programs and partnerships that are really going to move the marble for a family. Yes, they may still need a crisis service, but we are changing our strategy so that we're addressing the needs of the community in a different way. And I'll just step over to another document that I have, if I can find it, because I'm not very technically savvy. But we do, okay, well, maybe not. We do a community needs assessment every 3 years. We don't just arbitrarily determine what we're going to work on. We did this last in March of 21, and we put a lot of energy and a lot of resources behind this needs assessment so that we can really have a firm understanding and a correct understanding of what the needs are in the community. So I want to say our return rate on this last one was around 1,000 constituents. But we kind of took this needs assessment and really looked at the findings of it to try and determine what the community says their needs are. It's one thing if I tell them what their needs are. It's different if they tell me. And so we really reached out to constituents. We did key informant interviews with elected officials. We did paper surveys. We did focus groups. and we also did one-on-one interviews with constituents. We actually contacted every single person in Kathy's database, and there's thousands. We got about 1,000 people give us back information. So that's a success. If you do surveys and you know anything about surveying, that far exceeds that 10% mark that you look for. So we're really happy about the return rate, but people told us what their needs are. They told us what key findings were. I'm happy to share this with anybody that would like a copy, because this is your community. These are the people that live here that are telling us what their needs are. So we did this and we found out a lot of things, and I won't go through the whole document, but what we found out is that, yes, housing, there is a housing needs, but there's lack of stock in this county, lack of affordable stock. Affordable housing is an interesting topic. I was invited to a chamber meeting in Coweta County, which we also serve, and it was about affordable housing. And I was not a panelist, even though I was asked to attend, but the panel was 5 or 6 contractors that were there to talk about their affordable housing, and the most affordable house that they spoke of was $200,000. And so I think they were ready to escort me out of the luncheon because I reminded them, who's that affordable for? Raise your hand if you're in this room. And so they didn't receive that very well, but I think the point was made because they had a follow-up meeting really about affordable housing. And I think that the city and county there are looking for some long-term strategies, and they're putting some money behind really affordable housing. But I know there's a lot of groups and a lot of people in the audience that maybe your organizations or your foundations are focusing on housing, and I couldn't be prouder of that because we have a real problem in this community. And so some of these key findings, like I said, I'll be happy to share that, but I want to jump back over here to the PowerPoint. And for our housing program, I did want to say last year was our first year piloting our new housing program, which was more of a home ownership program. And from Troup County, we have really low participation. And I believe it was because not everyone's ready for the journey to own a home or even ready to think like that. Some people aren't ready to address their credit problems. They may not be ready to save money. So we had low participation, but we did get 3 or 4 families that are on their way to homeownership right now. One of them is going to be through a house with Habitat for Humanity. We're now partnering with them on a strategic level. We're also sharing services with that entity so that we can help them process applications for future homeowners. We're going to be sharing resources between Habitat and Kathy to provide the educational component that's important for homeownership. Learning about your credit, learning how to get a mortgage, learning about savings, learning about all those things, as well as learning what it means to be a homeowner. I mean, someone needs to tell you to change the filters. And so there's a lot of information that needs to be given to someone before we turn around and give them stipends towards their down payment. So it's an earned process. We're not giving anything away. We're allowing them to earn money towards the down payment, and it's actually starting to work. And as far as homeownership goes and wealth, what greater wealth is there than to be property owners? And so we're just shifting the way we think about things. We're still focusing on the low-income audience. We're still focusing on communities and neighborhoods that are primarily low-income families. But, you know, it's just getting, it changes every day. The audience that we serve changes every day. All of a sudden, people like us are we low income now? Like middle class is starting to shrink. And so we're seeing a lot more families qualify for our services than we ever have before. We saw a 300% increase in what we did during the pandemic. And that was because people were losing their jobs, people were out sick and not getting paid for that. And so where someone was once making $40,000, now they're at our door asking for a food box. So it's been really eye-opening. In Troup County, just to give you some numbers and just to gain some perspective, we paid out, and again, as we said, when we say we've paid out monies or that we've put this amount of money into the community, that's hard dollars into the community. That doesn't include my salary, overhead, or staff salaries. These numbers are true client benefit numbers, which is dollars into their hands. But we've done everything from rental assistance to utilities, I'm really proud of, even though it wasn't much in 2020, I'm proud of the home repairs that we did, because those were done for people that will never be able to save up $15,000 for a roof or whatever. We're still doing that. That program is growing. We did a lot in utility assistance, just in Trigg County, 2,700 households. But as far as money into the community, this is a 3-year total. We're still working on gathering numbers for 22, but we put about $2.5 million into the community. And the reason we like to share that is because it gives you a perspective of how many people are low income qualify for this that are getting the services. And that should paint a picture that when we start talking about financial stability, home ownership, property ownership, you really have to consider how many people can or can't afford that. 1.3 million went to the City of LaGrange. City of LaGrange utilities, primarily through our utility program. But we like that too, because all the utility providers and power companies, I look at this as like, this would be bad debt. If we didn't pay this to you, this could end up as being bad debt, as many of these people have balances and different things. And like she said, with our water program, the program will pay arrearage back to 2020. So if someone has a water bill that's just been growing and growing from a leak or some other travesty, some of these programs will go back and pay arrearage. So we're proud of that, because we work really hard to not only attract the funding, even though we are designated to be able to receive it. There's a lot of things that have to be done. There's standards that have to be met. We are scrutinized very heavily, and we get monitored by the state of Georgia, where they come and monitor all of our files, our finances. We get that twice a year for sure. And then sometimes they come 3 times a year. And so they look through every nook and cranny of our finances, of everything that we do. And also we have financial audits like many of your businesses do. And we've had clean audits for the last 4 years that I'm really, really proud of. And so it's a do-over for us. It's a time to really shift the way of thinking, change with the way everything else is changing in the world, the pandemic. Many of those 20 agencies that you saw on the map, many of them closed their doors completely for 4 or 5 months during the pandemic. We did not. We were there. Some of our staff worked at home, but during the height of the pandemic, where people would not even look at you from across the aisle, we were there serving people. And so I'm going to take a pause to see if there's any questions about Kathy, and then I do want to share some information about Discovering Soldiers Potential too. Yes, sir.
I saw that you all were having trying to combat homelessness, and that's a growing thing in our area. But I've discovered that a lot of homelessness is not people from here. There are people that's moving into the area that found what they're finding here, other than low utilities and things of that nature. But some of them are using our campgrounds, and they're homeless here. So what are you all doing to counteract that?
Well, homelessness is not really one of our strategic goals to battle that, but we are part of Trigg County's Homeless Coalition. I know Mike Wilson's here in the office somewhere, and we serve on that. I believe one of our staff persons is actually on the board of that organization, and I know that they're building the sort of one-stop center at New Ventures. And what I recently discussed with our staff is that we want to partner up with Mike to try to offer, if nothing else, in-kind services like we're offering to Habitat for Humanity, but maybe grant joint grant writing. We've spent a lot of time in the last year or two doing that, because I'm a newbie to LaGrange. I'm from Harris County, so came to LaGrange 5-6 years ago and was new to the community. But one thing that stood out to me, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but a lot of people do the same things, and it's a lot of duplication. And when I started really digging into why is that, everyone seems so nice, we should be, and I think it's just lack of intent. And so people want to, you just do it over there and we'll do it over here. So we've changed that strategy as well. Other than we were going to try and combat homelessness on our own, that's not our bag. There's experts in the community that are doing things and are more advanced than what we are in their journey of that. But what we can do as an organization to support that is to support things like the Homeless Coalition, attend that, suggest joint grant writing, do things together instead of trying to go off on our own. And I think that was a difference in leadership that I brought with me. And it's silly, selfish, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm not the expert on everything. There are other experts. And so as far as homelessness goes, the other program that can help with homelessness is the Georgia Rental Assistance Program. And we administer that to people in the community, as does others. I think they do it at the Housing Authority. There's some other nonprofits that help people do that, but that will pay someone's initial security deposit to get into a home and 3 to 18 months of rent for them. So there are programs, I believe, that anyone homeless needs to find those pockets in the community where they can get help getting the process done, because the process is what prevents people from obtaining the money. And DCA, Department of Community Affairs, who holds the money, will tell you that the process prevents most people. And it's really not a difficult process. It's just you can't upload, you got to do it all at one time. You can't piecemeal things. And so I think people that are not poverty competent think that that's easy. But when you live in the back of a truck or under a bridge and you don't have access to scanners and emails and paper and signatures and notaries, it does become difficult. So we're administering that now, of course, for free. Nobody pays us to, clients don't pay us to do that. But that's one of the, I think, cost-effective ways we can help with homelessness in this community, is to support those that are already doing things, stay engaged, and try to do some joint grant writing. Because for my first 5 years here, we dealt with homeless people as well. And, you know, I've had people drive to Kathy on a Friday night in the rain and dump other humans off as if they're animals and say, can y'all deal with this? And so I spent many a Friday night, it always happened on Fridays, dealing with that, and that just was not our bailiwick. We said we need to get people involved in this, that is their bailiwick. I hope that answered your question, Dr. Edmondson. Do you have a question? Anybody? Okay. Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
On your weatherization program,
Yes.
has your data proven to decrease some of the tenants utility bills after you get down to those upgrades?
100% yes. The research is there. I have so much research, I could bore you to tears with it. Because believe me, people far smarter than me and way higher pay grades come up with these programs that have the research behind them that will work. And so, yes, that is one of the main reasons. And I'll tell you that reason is why the politicians on either side, it's a bipartisan issue, love weatherization, because it's a tangible product and a thing that they can see has improved someone's life. And on both sides of the aisle, weatherization is usually the last to be argued over. So that's a good point. All right. Is that it? Do we have anything else? No more questions? I didn't take one. This is the other veterans organization. I'm on their board. Ms. Brown is the founder. And we're doing some amazing things in the community. If we had more time, I would tell you what those are, but I'll say after, because I'm really, really interested in sharing with you what we're doing for veterans and homeless veterans as well. So thank you.
Thank you. And Dee, I think we need to, set up another program. To fully address everything they do, maybe another one. Anyway, thank y'all so much for being here. In honor of your speaking today, we'll be making a donation to Polio Plus, which is Rotary's initiative to eradicate polio worldwide. Don't forget the dates, October 11th and 12th, 4 p.m. United Way with Connie to do the books. October 24th, after hours, right after work, viewing party for Polio Day. November 16th, not October 16th, but November 16th, will be at the college for the Walter Wire Murphy program. It's Turkey Day, and if you remember that, then you will be there. So be there. That being said, we adjourn. Thank you.